Hey YouTube, welcome back. I'm out here in the shop tinkering with the 16 Mustang, and I was replacing the hood and with an aftermarket hood. And while I put the hood on there to check for fitment and stuff like that, and I just put something on the bottom side here, but I haven't painted the face yet. I wanted to make sure that everything fit just right. I didn't have to do any kind of tweaking or anything like that before actually putting the paint on the actual side you're going to see. But I ran into a pretty good issue. They have the two little studs on here. Well, as you see, it had two studs on there because I'm holding the second one in my hands here. It broke right off on me. Darn thing won't zoom in. Guess you don't really need to. But so I have to find a way to fix this. Now I have a couple options. One I could try, or actually I have three options. One, I could try to go to a place and see if I could find a company that could potentially re-weld this back in, you know, because it goes down to like aluminum. So, but that's probably going to be kind of hard because it actually sits down inside the metal here. You see it actually sits down inside. Or my second option is going to be, I picked up these little studs. I picked up a little pack of assortment different sizes here. And what my plan is I'm going to drill this out. I'm going to thread it with my tap and die set. So this will thread inside there. Then I'm going to cover this thread with some JB weld. Now I'll screw it down inside there, let it dry. The JB weld is going to act as one, an extra bonding agent to lock the two pieces together. Two, it'll also help keep this from essentially being able to potentially spin out. Almost like a Loctite, but much stronger than a Loctite. If this option doesn't work, last option is going to be to knock this little slug out completely. You know, not the metal, but you know, try to drill these little things out so the piece falls down inside there. Not that I want a piece of metal rolling around inside my hood, but you know, unfortunately I won't be able to get it out. And then take this, what they call a riv nut. It's essentially a rivet per se with a set of threads in it. And then put this down inside here and, you know, let it expand out like it's supposed to. And now I'll just put a bolt here instead of having it, you know, the stud with the nut. So I'm going to go, obviously I'm not going to go with option A because I don't want to have to sit there and try to find somebody that's going to even attempt to even play with that. To be honest with you, I guarantee that's not really even an option. But I just threw it out there because it is an option, but it's not an option for me. I'm going to be starting with option B or 2 and go from there. If this doesn't work, then I'll go to the next one. If neither one of those options or none of them seem to work and I don't feel comfortable with this being on my car, but not feeling like it's secured properly enough, then unfortunately I'm not going to be able to put this on the car. I'm just going to have to get rid of it, and I'm just going to end up putting the factory one back on. So let's get started. Alright, the first thing I want to do is I want to do a couple test runs first before I actually drill into the hood. One, make sure that the drill bit diameter that I'm using is going to be the best size for the you know, the tap that I have and all that. So I'm going to do a couple of test runs in this piece of Lexan because it's rigid enough to work good for this particular, you know, demonstration or test run for me per se. You know, but kind of a demonstration for you guys. So I'm going to do that real fast and see what happens. Because, you know, when it comes down to it, you can always make a hole bigger by stepping up your drill bit size, but you can never make it smaller. So if you make it too big to begin with, you know, now you kind of made it to where it's irreversible, being that it's, you know, a piece of metal. Now I think my bolt might be a 5/16 because it's bigger than a 1/4-20, but I'm using a 1/4 inch drill bit because obviously this is going to cut into it. So let's see if that works. It does, but it's a little tight. So it's almost like I need to go one step higher on my drill bit. Probably. I'm gonna try this one. This is according to my case here, like a 17/64. See, that still also feels too tight. I mean, you don't want to have to like, use like pliers to get it in there, because that little slug that's in there, you're trying to help salvage that. So you don't want it something where you have to force it in there. So even that's a little too. I want something where I can thread it in without, with some ease, because by the time I put the JB Weld on there, it's going to lock it into place. Okay. So it kind of looks like the winner is a 1964 drill bit with this tap right here. So let's go ahead and go to the hood and see how it works out. Alright, start by drilling this piece. Now, one thing you got to be careful of by doing this is you don't want to like accidentally go fast and go all the way through the front of the hood. So I'm going to go nice and slow, so nice even pressure. Alright, shut the camera off for a second so I can regroup here, kind of look at my strategy. One of the things I'm running into a problem with is the slug that's right here. As I'm drilling on it and I'm pushing on it, all I'm doing is bending it. So I don't want that to bend. So I'm using a hook tool. I snake it in here. I'm going like this just to kind of hold pressure on that while I drill. So if I got to bend that a little bit more, so it gives me a little more pressure. So essentially, I can snake that in there, right on that little slug piece, and just kind of pull pressure on it, just like that. All right, now I also want to make sure I don't go all the way through my hood, so I'm just going to put a spacer thing on here so so when it goes through, that'll stop me. All right, there's one drill bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to step up my drill bits, one drill bit at a time, until I get to that larger one. Now that I got the initial hole drilled, I can just go slow with the rest of it. Like that. And then for the last bit, there we are. Then I got that drilled. So now I'm going to tap it. And then thread that in there, see if it threads in. Then after I make sure it threads in all right, then I'll put the JB Weld on it. That feels very thin, like the thickness of one thread. It's kind of making me not super happy. I mean, I'll get it in there. I think once I do the JB Weld, JB Weld is in there and it's really, holding everything together. I should be okay. And I'll be tapped into that bottom piece. So, but that's how I'm going to fix this hood. Okay, I went ahead and I used a little bit of a lacquer thinner and put the lacquer thinner on the threads of my stud and walked it in and out a couple times just to try to get rid of any excess oils. And then I blew it off with my air compressor. Now I'm going to mix up a bunch of JB Weld. My plan is to get some JB Weld to where I can pull up, because after I put that on, I'm going to put a washer on there. I'm going to snug it up so I can pull that spacer back up tight against the metal here. So this way I know it's right against it, so when it dries. Plus obviously the amount that's going to be on the stud itself. So this way I'm hoping that by the time it's on the threads and oozes out between here where it's going to be here, that is going to really make that stud nice and strong and part of the hood again, so I don't have to really worry about it. So start mixing. Now, I want to make sure I don't get any JB weld anywhere where I don't want it. So I'm going to cover this with tape. Just cut out where that goes. So this way I can take my popsicle stick and force it inside there. And then once I get it inside there, then I can put the stud in there. Then I'll put this on here. So I want to make sure this also doesn't get stuck to it. That, a washer, then the nut, and then I'll pull up on that stud. All right. Rid of that. A nice generous coat of JB Weld on the threads. Just make sure. Let's thread that in there. Felt bottoms out. All right, let me pull up on it real fast. All right. Now all that's going to do right there is essentially just hold that plate tight against the bottom of the hood. And then I'm hoping by doing that, it also encapsulated that stud in a bunch of extra JB Weld, just to make sure that it, also catches that, plus the threads. Plus I'm hoping there's a bunch of it on the bottom side of it that will make it to where it can't potentially back itself back out. So now I just got to let this sit and wait till tomorrow when it's fully dry, pull it out, maybe do a little pool test, see how I like it, see if I think it's going to work. If it's not, then that'll be going in as my third option. Okay, it's been 24 hours. I'm going to pull this off and see how it feels. Feels pretty good. Looks like some of the JB Weld kind of oozed up through. So I'll probably take my grinder and just run that down so this way this sits flat against the bracket like it's supposed to. So I'll probably sand a little bit of that off. And then I will give the hood another test fit to make sure that everything fits like I want it to. And then I'll be on to getting the hood painted. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a thread cleaner because a little bit of the JB Weld got onto the threads. I want to make sure that the threads are nice and clean so the nut will go all the way down to the base.
Here we go. That feels pretty good, actually. I don't feel any movement. Feels pretty solid. So I think that's actually going to work really well. So I think that was a successful repair of that stud right there. You know, definitely had to take my time, make sure I didn't poke a hole through the backside of the hood. So I did the spacer, doing the tapping it, threading this in there, putting the JB weld, let it sit 24 hours. I think that's going to be a good repair. It actually feels more solid than the one on the other side because now it's actually glued to the hood here versus the other side. You know, it's able to move a little bit. So now I'm going to put it on the car and start reworking my alignment, see how things look, and then if I 100% happy with the hood, then I will work on getting it painted.
All right, I got the hood bolted on there. Like I said, I still got to get it painted. Just right now, I'm just checking fitment and stuff like that. Make sure if I need to do any tweaking or bending or anything like that, I do that before paint. But I gotta say that that bolt tightened up nice. Doesn't feel like it's moving or pulling out or anything of that nature. So that was a very successful way of fixing the stud on one of these aluminum Mustang hoods. Hope this video helps somebody that might have ran into the same situation and an easy, inexpensive way to fix it. So, thanks for watching.